from the University of Laverne. This is Foothill Community News.
Hello, I'm JC Theory.
And I'm Christopher Livingston. This is Foothill Community News. It was a frightening situation for some local residents when an explosion set off a fire in the hills above Laverne. Worried residents had no idea if it was their homes on fire as they watched smoke rising from their neighborhood last Monday. The fire broke out in the 4500 block of Live Oak Canyon Road around 6:30 p.m. According to officials, the flames burned through about a quarter of an acre, destroying one home. No one was hurt and the fire was put out within a few hours. Officials don't yet know what caused the explosion.
The dangers of global warming was on the minds of millions of people who took part in a global climate strike.
It took place on September 20th, and reporter Ariana Rodriguez was on hand in downtown LA, where thousands filled the streets.
They came by the thousands, students, adults, and children who skipped class and work to gather at Pershing Square in downtown Los Angeles to strike for climate change. Inspired by 16-year-old activist Greta Thunberg of Sweden, more than 7 million people in 185 countries all took part in the global climate change strike.
Young people know this. It's their future we're talking about. That's why students all over the world have gone on school strikes for the climate.
Celebrity activist Jane Fonda also came out to support the youth climate change movement.
These young people are the true adults in the room.
No one is perfect, but for the sake of us all, for the sake of our future, everyone, and that includes people who make laws, people who make products, and people who make trash. We all have to be our best.
Young people worried about their future say if governments don't act now to protect the environment, it may be too late.
So really taking that initiative right now by implementing those sustainable alternatives is key because everything else is becoming extremely time sensitive.
It's a crucial time, and in order for us to make changes, everyone needs to use their voice.
The protesters later made their way to City Hall, where Mayor Garcetti briefly addressed the global climate change.
It is time to make that part of LA's past and not part of...
The global strike was a show of solidarity and determination that these young people have to save our planet and protect their future.
Yeah, if one person doesn't think that they can make a difference, times that by 8 billion people, and that's when change is going to actually take place.
Reporting for Foothill Community News, I'm Ariana Rodriguez.
Climate change strikes not only occurred in the Los Angeles area, but also right in our backyard in the city of Claremont. About 140 people, from students and teachers to professors and community members, attended the strike outside of City Hall. The strike was hosted by Claremont High School students and used as a platform for open discussion to share their thoughts about climate change.
All the strikes around the world, around the country, I can feel hopeful in the world again. There's a lot wrong, but you guys are making it right.
Organizers plan to work with the City Council to come up with ways Claremont can be more environmentally friendly.
The immigration crisis at our southern border prompted people to take action here at the University of Laverne. Many wanted to find a way to help. Reporter Stephanie Joseph tells us how.
For months, images like these of migrants in detention centers at our southern border outraged the public.
Seeing babies in the cages, that hurts my soul. So I was like, what can I do?
When Director of Multicultural Services Misty Livingston heard about the horrible conditions in these centers, she and a group of co-workers went into action.
I'm like, let's do a humanitarian campaign so we can stop feeling so helpless.
The group placed donation bins around campus during August and September for anyone to donate items to send to immigration detention centers. For many students, a campaign like this hit home. So when given the opportunity to lend a helping hand, they rushed to action.
It's very traumatic, hearing these things, especially because, like I said, my family, they are from Mexico.
Items such as deodorant, air mattresses, body wash, and many other things were donated during the campaign. The boxes of donated items were given to a member of the humanitarian group Border Angels, who took them to the detention centers. This campaign was one small effort to help make a difference to those held in the detention centers. For Foothill Community News, I'm Stephanie Joseph.
Students from the university were up bright and early to help make a difference in their community. Reporter Brianna Estrada has that story.
Community, service, lifelong learning. This is what the University of La Verne's annual Student Community Engagement Day is all about.
It's been really fun. I've never done anything like this before, so it's pretty cool to get to know just everyone here and learn a new skill.
Approximately 250 students have gathered here today to lend a helping hand to local community organizations like the Latino Roundtable of the San Gabriel and Pomona Valley and Hillcrest Retirement Community.
At Hillcrest Retirement Community, students worked with some of the elderly residents to make fleece blankets. I spoke to one Hillcrest resident to get her reaction about the event.
I may not be able to remember it all, but it is enjoyable.
The blankets being made at Hillcrest will be donated to people in need at Woods Health Services and House of Ruth. On the other side of town, another group of students helped clean up Cesar Chavez Park.
We painted some trash cans, now we're fixing some murals behind us, so we're just kind of doing whatever needs to be done around the park just to beautify it.
Despite the heat and hard work, freshman volunteer Gabriella Cummings says working with others is what makes the experience worth it.
Well, I think many people don't by themselves just go out and help the community, so it's kind of a good day where it's like, here, let's all do this together.
Organizers say the event was a success and hope that at the end of the day, everyone had a good time. Reporting from the University of La Verne, I'm Brianna Estrada, Foothill Community News.
When we come back, a look at the impact school lockdowns and active shooter drills may be having on our children.
And experts want to keep the conversation going about suicide prevention. We'll have those stories when we return.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and keep children 3 feet away from anything that gets hot, because fire is everyone's fight.
School shootings have become all too common in America. This year alone, there have been 22. While lawmakers debate how to prevent them, schools are taking steps to prepare students for an active shooter situation. I looked into the effect this is having on our school children. This was the scene at San Dimas High School just weeks ago. An active shooter lockdown. Concerned parents, police choppers overhead. Scenes like this one play out across the country regularly. Fortunately, this one was a false alarm.
There was no threat, luckily. Thank God no one's hurt.
The lockdown at San Dimas High and neighboring Lone Hill Middle School was triggered by a prank call. Still, for some students and their family, the experience was traumatic.
Some had tears. Some took it as, well, this is just something that we have to deal with.
Jared Humphrey arrived to the campus that day, worried about his siblings.
I was really scared. I was shaking a lot because no one knew exactly what was going on.
To prepare for an active shooter threat, many schools are carrying out drills like this recent one at the University of La Verne. But psychologists say the drills themselves can be traumatic to students if not done right.
You have to be able to take the pulse of your students, but it's important that those drills themselves are not conducted in a way to cause trauma.
According to the National Association of School Psychologists, how these drills are conducted depends on the age of the students.
Something that has the potential to frighten, confuse, raise anxiety, you need to then recognize the developmental level of those kids and what level of information they need to know.
Although the threat at San Dimas and Lone Hill is over, Jared says it affected his 13-year-old brother.
He was really scared to go back to school even though it was a hoax. He just had that fear in the back of his mind that it might really happen.
In the past, both schools have partnered with the San Dimas Sheriff's Department to participate in lockdown drills. In the wake of this incident, they say they are working with the Bonita Unified School District to conduct another lockdown training sometime in the near future.
Suicide. It is something people don't like to talk about. But reporter Ariana Rodriguez spoke to experts who say opening up can prevent a tragedy.
According to the Center for Disease Control, 45,000 Americans took their life in 2016. That's one death by suicide in the U.S. every 12 minutes.
People are feeling very sad and hopeless, and what increases their risk for suicide is substance use. People are masking, trying to deal with the depression by using drugs or alcohol. That increases their risk to suicide.
Depression affects people from all walks of life, and women suffer from it more often. 18-year-old Samantha Torrey has been battling it since she was 12.
I started to act this way because I just really didn't know how to cope with my depression and anxiety. And for me, it was always this really overwhelming feeling of being alone.
Samantha says no one heard her when she started to feel this way.
I never really felt like they took my feelings seriously, and so I felt embarrassed about the feelings I was having, and so I just never really told anyone.
Like many people with depression, Samantha didn't get treatment until a few years ago.
It taught me new ways to cope with my anxiety and face my depression head on.
Therapy and medication can help with depression. Letting others know how you feel is also important.
Oftentimes, in addition just to mental illness, people have underlying trauma or other issues that can contribute to them being suicidal. So therapy is helpful in allowing them to work those issues out.
I think mental health is a super important topic, and it should be talked about more because it is real.
Now you can take the first step into preventing suicide by just talking about it. If you or you know someone who needs help, contact the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. Reporting for Foothill Community News, I'm Ariana Rodriguez.
Hundreds of people from around the Inland Empire stepped up to help find a cure for Alzheimer's. It is a disease that impairs the brain, affecting memory, thinking, and leads to death. Reporter Paulina Wortman has the story.
People from all over the Inland Empire gathered on September 22nd at Hunter Hobby Park in Riverside, California, to walk to end Alzheimer's.
Brings you out to the Alzheimer's walk today? So many of my friends' families have been affected with Alzheimer's. My roommate, her grandpa unfortunately passed away, and her grandma has early onset dementia. So just being in the position that I am to give back to the community and raise money and just be a part of this big philanthropy was just so special to me.
Over 500 people put on their walking shoes and came out for the 3-mile trek to end Alzheimer's. The Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's is the world's largest event to raise awareness and fund for Alzheimer's care, support, and research. Over 61 teams participated in the walk, including the University of La Verne's chapter of Sigma Kappa sorority, which raised over $47,000.
It's really important to us. Alzheimer's Research is one of our philanthropies. Every year, Sigma Kappa, as a national sorority, raises over $1 million for Alzheimer's research. Our main event for that being the Alzheimer's Walk.
Alzheimer's affects 1 in 3 senior citizens and is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States.
To find an Alzheimer's Walk near you, you can go online at act.alz.org. I'm Paulina Wortman, Foothill Community News.
Still to come, we'll take a stroll throughout downtown La Verne
and explore a popular ancient practice that is still used today. We'll be right back.
For too many parents, a baby's first steps aren't just a milestone, they're a miracle. A miracle made possible by volunteers like you, who walk and raise money in March for Babies. The money you raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Together, our steps make stronger, healthier babies a reality for thousands of families. Sign up today to take the steps that help make milestones and even miracles possible. Who will you march for?
From handmade planters to handmade jewelry, there was something for everyone to like at the La Verne Art Walk. Reporter Raylene Lopez has the story.
Music, crafts, and original works were on display at the City of La Verne's Art Walk
earlier this month. The monthly event, hosted by local businesses, brought dozens of artists and vendors to the heart of Old Town Laverne to showcase their work.
I would say the main thing that makes the event cool is that it's really different than other art walks. It's not something that is commercially driven.
Businesses such as Cactus Coffee want to help local artists gain exposure by giving them a space to sell their work to the community.
We don't allow anybody who is part of a larger corporation. It's all people who are making things themselves, and I think that that's what makes it really special.
Soraya Gandor, owner of Reinvented, specializes in creative succulent plant arrangements and woodwork.
I started in 2015, basically making succulent arrangements with vintage and recycled containers. And I started doing woodworks when I met my husband, because he started helping me with the business, and then we incorporated the woodworks with the succulents.
On display, you can also find homemade jewelry, original clothing, one-of-a-kind pots, and live music.
The Laverne Art Walk takes place the first Saturday of every month, so come out and join the fun.
I'm Marlene Lopez, Foothill Community News.
It's been around for thousands of years, but perhaps it's time you tried yoga. September was National Yoga Month, and our reporter Christine Insigne visited some local studios to shed light on the spiritual and physical benefits of yoga.
Whether it's used for exercise or meditation, more and more people are seeking the benefits of a yoga practice.
We started with just a simple small space and one member, and we're now up to about 140 plus members on a daily basis with 11 teachers and probably in the range of 25 to 30 classes a week.
Yoga is an old spiritual and physical discipline that comes from India. It is practiced as a way of improving one's health and happiness.
Yoga has been around for, some say, 100 years as far as the physical practice goes, but it's been around for thousands of years, even have texts that date from around 200 BC.
According to the American Osteopathic Association, health benefits include increased flexibility, muscle tone, weight loss, and protection from injury. While the practice is more known for its physical attributes, mindfulness and meditation also play a big role in the healing benefits of yoga.
It helps me to overcome depression and anxiety, and plus I do like running sports and it helps me to balance my schedule.
Yoga instructor David Zeke says the practice helped him heal from an accident that put him in a coma.
When I came out of the coma, I had some mild brain damage and physical therapy wasn't helping. And a friend of a friend said you might try yoga.
Yoga instructor Michelle Passos says the benefits of yoga go beyond health.
Yoga is really for everybody, and so that is a big part of our mission, is to unite people from all different backgrounds and to let this space be a place for them to come to be well.
If you're someone who is looking for physical and spiritual healing but have a history of injuries, please make sure to get in contact with your doctor before trying yoga. Reporting for Foothill Community News, I'm Christine Insigne.
When we come back, scores and more in local sports news.
And we say goodbye to a local sports legend. We'll be right back.
To pose, now shush. She makes the sound she makes to calm me down.
You're not sitting here. Yes, I am. Move! Give it to him hard.
No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stab me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Joining us for sports is Charles Green.
What's going on, Charles?
Quite a lot, Christopher. There's lots happening, including a big change in the golf program at the University of Laverne. I caught up with the university's men's golf team who started their full season with worrying news.
University of Laverne's highly successful golf program will start their full season on the back foot after they are left without a home course practice facility. Last year's men's Sky Conference winners lost their longtime home course, Sierra Laverne, this summer after the course closed down due to bankruptcy. The team had played there for 32 years.
I just think that with the loss of how close the course was, we're going to have to now travel a little bit further and maybe even start to use some of our own money to play on the weekends.
Players like Nathan Sapansky also worry that they won't be able to practice as much, which could affect their ranking.
One of the reasons we were so good last year is because we had somewhere to go play and practice every day, and without that, our team might struggle a little bit.
Last year, the ULV men's team was ranked as high as 11th nationally and has a reputation of being one of the university's strongest programs. Despite the setback of the team losing its course, head coach Eric Reilly believes the program can still have a successful season.
The best position for me in the department to operate would be to look at it as an opportunity. Now we get a chance to be able to reach out to some other courses.
Reilly plans to rotate the golf program throughout several local courses.
Via Verde might also play a great role. Mountain Meadows has been great to us, too, as well, and that's where we're going to host the conference championship this year.
The team started their full season with a third-place finish at Oregon Tech Full Invite earlier last week. Pitluck Punchline notably won the individual trophy with a score of 5 under par. Taking a look at football, the University of Laverne football team kicked off their conference season with a big upset win over local rivals Claremont Mudscripts. Nathaniel Sagastumi scored an overtime touchdown to beat the defending Sky champions 2017. The Leos travelled to Pomona Pizza on Saturday, hoping to make it 2-0 in Sky football. The Laverne volleyball team continued their good run as they swept Pomona Pizza 3-0 last Tuesday. The win marked the Leopards' 4th win in 5 games and maintains their position of 3rd in Sky standings. The women's team is off and will be back in conference action on October 18th with an away game at Cal Lutheran. It's been a tough run for Laverne's women's soccer team. The women suffered a 3-0 loss against Cal Lutheran last week and currently sit second to last in the conference. The men's team were embarrassed at home by a 5-0 loss against Claremont, dropping them to 4th in Sky standings. Now let's take a look at the scores from the high schools in our community. The Bonita Bearcats football team started their full conference campaign on a bad note with a 28-13 loss at home to Glendora High School. This was the Bearcats' first loss of the season. The Bearcats women field hockey team, on the other hand, have enjoyed a trio of wins in conference play. They have won their last 3 games respectively, 1-0, 6-1 and 1-0. Their next game is October 15th at home against Thousand Oaks High School. San Dimas High School has secured wins in volleyball. They beat Baldwin Park 3-0 and Covina 3-0. The varsity football team is also in high spirits after their 27-13 win over Northview Vikings on October 4th. And to wrap up the sports, Damien's High's water polo team improved their conference record to 3-0 after a high-scoring 16-6 win over Rancho Cucamonga last week. That's it for sports.
Thanks, Charles.
And you have sad news to report on one of our local sports icons.
That's right, JC. Our community is mourning the loss of one of its own when it comes to coaching. He was a legendary football coach who led Damien High to huge success on the field. I'm talking about Coach Dick Larson. I went to Damien High to learn more about the man and his legacy.
When you think back to Damien High School and its history, he's truly one of the foundational members of what Damien has become.
Dick Larson, who passed away in late August at age 85, will forever be remembered as a legend at Damien High School.
Coach Larson was an incredible man. He started our football program from really nothing. He built it up into a great tradition. He was an incredible teacher. He was an incredible mentor of his players, but also of his students.
Larson won over 200 games in his 32 years as a head varsity football coach. He was head coach at Damien High School from 1975 to 1997, where he established a culture of winning.
He led our football program for over 20 years. He brought us our first 2 CIF championships in football, but not only in football, but the school's first CIF Southern Section championships in our history.
Damien High's current head football coach, Matt Bechtel, played quarterback for Larson in the 1990s and remembers him as a tough-nosed, no-nonsense guy.
But he cared about his players, he loved his players, and he pushed us, and it's kind of that tough love
adage that gets thrown around quite a bit today.
Larson was so revered that the school named its football stadium after him in 2010. Coach Bechtel honored him by bringing back a Larson tradition of putting 3 white stripes like these on the helmet, representing faith in God, faith in others, and faith in yourself. Although he's no longer with us, the spirit and legacy of Coach Dick Larson will forever reside not only in its student athletes, but out on the football field and here in the Athletic Hall of Fame. Reporting for Foothill Community News, I'm Christopher Livingston. Well, that'll do it for us.
Join us next time for another edition of Foothill Community News.